ship. Lollipop, it's a sweet trip to a candy shop.
Over 4 consecutive years, from 1935 through 1938, the most popular screen star in America was Shirley Temple, aged 7, 8, 9, and 10. And by the time she was 9 and did this one, Rebecca of Sunnybrook Farm, directed by Alan Dwan, she'd already appeared, since the age of 3, in a dozen shorts and 24 features. No other child star in history has commanded such interest and loyalty. By 1937, her peak year, 240 million people, that's twice the population of the U.S., had lined up for Temple movies, and there were $11 million worth of products out there with her face or name on them. Ms. Temple Black herself, at age 60, has told this remarkable story in her autobiography, in which she repeatedly gives her mother all the credit for her career. And the 2 best directors Shirley had, John Ford and Alan Dwan, both confirmed to me that they generally worked through her mother to get those precocious performances. But Dwan said that he'd only have to tell Shirley something once and she'd remember the rest of her life. She was always on the job and prepared, and, he said, if one of the actors got stuck, she'd tell him what the line was.
I told you to go to bed.
Yes, Grandfather. I think I'll go to bed now, Grandfather. Good night.
Dwan's first of 3 with Shirley was this slightly tongue-in-cheek version of the children's classic Heidi, co-starring Jean Hersholt as her gruff old Swiss grandfather, and released in October 1937. Dwan told me once his intention was to try to keep it light, even adding a Dutch dream sequence so Shirley could sing and dance, because, as he said, it can get awfully sticky if you really make those kind of stories seriously. And Shirley recalls Dwan getting her to take her own falls, even from a butting goat.
Hey, Turk! Everybody knows you can't turn your back on old Turk. Well, old Turk isn't much of a gentleman.
Doing her own stunts was the way Shirley had, the year before, won over her finest and also most formidable director, John Ford. To bolster Shirley's career with a dramatic piece after 13 films of popular fluff, Fox chief Darryl Zanuck assigned his favorite director to the job, though he knew what Ford thought of working with child stars. Ford had just won the Oscar for The Informer, and so had his star, Victor McLaglen. So Zanuck told Ford he could have McLaglen and a big $1 million budget to do a female version of Rudyard Kipling's India story, Wee Willie Winkie. Well, Ford took the challenge, but generally ignored Shirley, gave her short shrift, till one day he asked her point blank if she would run in front of some stampeding horses or would the double have to do it. Well, her mother wasn't at all keen on this. Shirley, at 8, however, insisted on proving her grit, rehearsed carefully, and... through the dust, Shirley looked over at Ford and could see that he was smiling and signaling approval. Later in the picture, when Shirley was hurt slightly and took it like a trooper, to her surprise, the director grinned warmly, and when he tipped his tinted glasses, she said, his eyes were watery and sentimental. Ford told me that Victor McLaglen loved Shirley and that Shirley loved him. And most of the scenes between them were ad-libbed by Ford, sparked from that affectionate relationship. These are the best things in this, her best movie, and her own personal favorite, released July 30th, 1937.
We'd have to find a new name for you. I got it. I've got it. Wee Willie Winkie.
Wee Willie Winkie?
Wee Willie Winkie became one of Shirley's biggest successes and was the cause in England of an infamous libel case when Fox sued author Graham Greene in a magazine in which he published a review of the film, which dealt mainly with little Shirley's sexuality, calling her, quote, a complete totsy. Well, Greene lost. The magazine folded, and only in Shirley's book can you read that piece. She writes of it all with an amusing degree of pride. 11 years later, John Ford cast Shirley at age 19 in his own production of Fort Apache, her 40th of 44 films. She was again the outsider in a faraway stockade, with John Wayne, Henry Fonda as her father, John Agar as the soldier she falls for, and did in life. He was her first husband. And again, her old pal, Victor McLaglen. But to most of the world, Shirley Temple will always mean little Shirley, as Heidi, as Winkie, as Rebecca. A beloved icon from America's last decade of innocence.
Should old acquaintance be forgot and days, old lang syne?